Welcome to First and Goal, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Get ready for the latest and hottest topics in the SML. Let's get started. Here's your host, Mad Bomber.
All right, welcome back to First and Goal. Been a while, but this week we've got Prime, Fazz, Mike, and Dan from the basement. I don't know if that's his kill room or where he keeps the bodies buried, but he's down there.
Extra, actually.
All right, how's everybody doing this afternoon?
Great.
All right.
Doing well, man. Now that
Wonderful.
we survived the Mike Evans onslaught, we're good.
Yeah, that was a good game. We just saw Spooky blow his chance against Fields, so he's out, and it looks like either you or Dan is going to be playing Gouda in the first round. So 2 buys for the NFC South. So let's jump into the first topic. So first topic, there's been a lot of talk on shows about the Big Five. Who are the 5 bottoms? I mean, the bottom 5. Dan, we'll start with you.
Man, this is rough because you don't want to hurt guys' feelings. You don't want them to, feel too bad about their cycle. But I mean, let's just be honest. There's a legit bottom 5, and if we're gonna go DW here, even though it's not the DW down, we're gonna go here. And I hope these guys aren't offended here. But I got KJ, I got Fields, I got terrible 2-step. I think those are maybe the obvious. I would bet we maybe have all 3 on here, even though Fields had a big win against Prime last week. The next 2, though, not NYT. I was thinking of Tiny. But, Tiny has been around enough for me to put him in this list, and he beat me, so he gets off this list. Congratulations, Tiny, that. I'm going Spooky after what I just saw, okay? Still hasn't made the playoffs, had many chances to do that. And then the shocker of the all, here it is, QB Stud.
Ooh, okay. QB Stud
I can get on board with that.
is one of the bottoms.
Who is QB Stud? Who is QB Stud beaten? That's all I want to ask. Who has he beaten since he's been back?
Does he have a win since he's been back?
He's tried really hard against Prime. He's tried.
Right. Like, what's his best win since he's been back? That's all I gotta say.
Nothing.
I got nobody of any kind of decent.
That's my cricket sound effect.
Yeah.
All right, Fazz, what about you? Who are your 5 bottoms?
Well, I have to agree with Dan on I think the 3 obvious. Unfortunately, they're all guys that you want to see do well and you want to see be better, and unfortunately, they most of the time just aren't. Field, KJ, 2-step. They show flashes, they show glimpses, but they can't get out of their own way for a full game. After that, I have Coop as a different answer. I was kind of hoping going into this kind of refresh cycle that getting his Chiefs, getting his team, we could kind of see him take another step, and unfortunately he's kind of gone the opposite way. The guy loves chaos more than he loves winning, and I mean, hey, whatever's fun for you. But generally letting Tyreek Hill walk for nothing is not going to get you on many better than the bottom 5 lists. Tiny, I have to agree with the pass. Anytime you take over a Figs built team, or not built, however you want to describe that, is going to dog you. I think my 5th, I would pass on QB Stud, maybe 6th, but I don't think I can put him 5 below. Unfortunately, Spooky. Too many throws into double coverage, and he gets mad at the game.
Yeah, and he's blown his chance to get to the playoffs multiple times, and not difficult games.
Yeah.
Mike, how about you? 5 bottoms.
I think we're pretty much all on a similar page with I got 2-step on there. I'm actually giving Field a pass because he's not as bad as he plays sometimes, and schedule or not, he does miss a lot, and his team is pretty dumpster tier because of it. So I'm gonna kind of give him a little credit there. He is a former champion. He's done it before. He's a better player most of the time when he's in there. So I've got 2-step, KJ. Tiny is not going to make my list as well. The one that I'm putting on there is Colt. I don't think we're seeing a lot from Colt. He can win a couple games, but over his tenure in the SML, it's been nothing spectacular. So I got Colt on the list. Last 2, Spooky and myself. I'm going to put myself there because, looking back, division's weak. I should have more championships. I should have more playoffs, not, Super Bowls and parties, whatnot. I should be making more of an impression in the standings than I have been. So at some point you have to kind of accept that, and it's not full term, not long term, but for right now, for this cycle, I'm gonna go ahead and put myself there at number 5.
All right, and Prime.
Yeah, when looking at the bottoms of the league, I made my list a little bit different. So to me, the top 5 bottoms in the league are Tiny. That relationship with Ryan Tannehill, you would just imagine that he would be a bottom in that one. Up next is Coach Pauly. You gotta imagine. You see what he puts in chat. You see all these Tom Brady. I mean, you gotta imagine that he's gonna be the bottom in that. After that, it's Doink. I just imagine that double rice, no bean. He's a hockey player. He's rough and tough. Doink's the bottom there. Up next, Colt 45. Does that even need to be explained? I mean, it's Colt 45. And after that, terrible two-step because he gets mowed down in every freaking game I watch. This guy is just getting blasted. But that's my bottoms of the SML.
How can you
Wrap
do this
up the
list
show,
and not
it's
have
over.
Matt there? How can you make this list that way and not put Matt on your list, dude?
That was a miss.
Yeah,
That was a miss.
Yeah.
That was a miss.
I
We're-
think
well,
actually
we're
Prime might be
swaps.
a
We're
power
swaps.
bottom in that relationship.
Top or bottom.
Well, I think Prime just admitted he likes the bottom because
Yeah,
he, didn't
yeah.
put Matt, he didn't put Matt there.
Yep.
all I
Yeah,
gotta
I'm not
say.
saying what. All I gotta
I hope
say
the
is don't knock
800
until you
points
try
he
it.
got for the first 4 answers were deducted for the last answer.
All right, so let's move on to topic 2 before this one gets any more carried away. But not that it gets any better. So Pauly ghosted QB when he was in Boston. What SML member would you ghost if he called and said he was in town? Fazz, we'll start with you.
So I'm loving the topics this week. Bomber just chose full violence. So the obvious answer here for me is going to be QB for multiple reasons. But the one that I don't think people see coming, he would have to come to Philly. He is a generally abrasive person, a Dallas Cowboys fan. I want nothing to do with being with QB stud in Philadelphia. My surprise answer though, and we're gonna channel full petty Fazz here. Future's coming to town. He's calling me. Let's meet up. I'm gonna show up at his hotel room, 3:30 a.m. I'm gonna knock on the door. 15 seconds later, I'm gonna dip, and he's not gonna hear from me again.
All right. Mike, who's yours?
I went full Mike FM on this one with DDNC, double rice, no bean. The man's a walking petri dish lately. He's caught every disease under the sun, and I don't want to go somewhere and end up with, airborne Ebola flu cough. It's, something I'm not looking forward to, so we're going to go off the radar a little bit and say DDNC can stay away.
All right. Prime, the guy that met Monty. Who's on your list that you wouldn't?
Yeah, it would be Doink. We're going to stay in the primer posse here. And I just don't want whatever that anti-clutch Doink gene he's got in his body to be transferred at all. I mean, the guy is super anti-clutch. We've seen it again today against Fazz. I actually had a vision that game. Everybody rewatched that. But anyway, anti-clutch, don't want to deal with him at all. Stay away.
All right. Dan, how about you?
Yeah, this is a really hard question. Kind of my line of work. I've kind of like everybody, so I've got to, try to figure out who I wouldn't like. Like honestly, I'd love to meet every 31 owners, but if I had to pick somebody, it's sort of like you don't want to pick your hero and meet your hero and be disappointed. So for me, it was Mike FML. He's my hero in Sim Madden League. He's everything I look up to be. He's everything that I dream I could be. And I really model my life after Mike FML. So he's the one guy I wouldn't want to meet just to be disappointed.
Fantastic.
All right, awkward answer.
Very politically correct answer
Yep.
to just completely crap all over Mike live on Total Access.
Right.
That was
I started.
I didn't say anything mean about him. I was nice. He's my hero. Like I respect him.
I crapped on myself round 1, so I'm fine with it carrying on round 2. It's okay.
All right, so let's move on to an even more exciting topic, which maybe it's not. But now that the draft's passed, all the free agency's done, what teams are going to be the 3 hottest teams going into the Madden 23 draft? Last year, everybody had Washington real high, a couple other teams. How about this year? Who's it going to be, Mike?
I think my, hottest one right now is just the Dolphins because of Tyreek Ed. That's going to be a hard team to defend, and theoretically, you could have another weak division with, somebody landing the Buffalo Bills early, and then the Jets and Patriots filling out as they do. So it's a chance for somebody to get a good offensive team and then build the defense while not having necessarily a lot of competition. Beyond that, I got a couple wild cards here. I'm going to go ahead with the 2 that are part of a big offseason trade being both the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks for different reasons. Denver's ready to go right now. You get a winner there. Doesn't matter about draft picks. You're good for the next 3 years easily. Seattle, you got a lot of defense. You got some defense, a lot of offense that you can build upon, as well as future picks. So I think those are 2 good teams looking forward.
All right, Prime, how about you?
Yeah, for me, and I played a little bit of the beta. I haven't played much. The game's going to change before launch, but just going off of what I know now, I think that front 7 is going to be a really big deal. And because of that, I played against the Chargers, and that team is freaking wild. Like, Herbert's good. They got a decent receiver, too, I think. They got pass rushers. They got Mack, and they have Bosa. They're just good. They get that pressure in like 1.5 seconds. Same kind of reasoning for Washington football team. Just a little more creativity you can have offensively when building that team. You can get any quarterback you want. You're not tied to Herbert. So I picked Washington. And then last, I took, again, a team that I think could do some damage, and that's the Bills. I think the Bills have Von Miller now. And so he's going to get some pressure. They got Josh Allen. Strong arm quarterback. He can be mobile. Escape artist is definitely dead now until they patch it. So those were my teams, just with teams with pass rushers and some teams with either an established quarterback or a just kind of a clean slate. And that's why I took my 3 teams.
All right, Dan?
Yeah, I think Dolphins. I think Chargers are really good ones. I think Cleveland is going to be really good, depending on what happens with Watson. But you got that quarterback. You got, again, all the young talent there, and you still have Chubb, which, again, if passing becomes difficult, running is good. But I would say my top team. So those would be kind of my 3. But my top team would be the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're going to be the Carolina Panthers of this cycle. They just got young pieces. They got the right pieces for Madden. Got to fix the quarterback. But once you can do that, I think the Eagles are going to be the hottest, kind of not good in real life, but good to be great in Madden.
Yeah, I can see the difference between them and Carolina is they've got multiple picks, too. That'll be nice for fixing that quarterback.
I left the Eagles off my list trying to not draw too much attention there. So thanks for that, Dan.
All right, so Fazz, what about you?
Unfortunately, Mike, it's not going to get any better. I was excited that nobody had said the Eagles because I was ready to sound smart here, and then Dan had to steal my thunder. But yeah, I have the Eagles at number 1 on hottest teams. I think once people dig into the rosters, dig into the game, they're going to see the Eagles are a team with a pretty good front 7 as well. Multiple picks, good speed on the outside. Again, have to fix Hurts. But yeah, I think they're number 1 on my list. I had the Dolphins as well. I had the football team for reasons people have already mentioned. So I'll throw another team out there that wasn't super attractive this year, but I think next game they will be, and that's the Lions. So you're still gonna have multiple picks in the Lions. They took Aiden Hutchinson. They got one of the receivers, right?
Jameson Williams.
One of the really good ones. Yeah, it was Jameson. It was Jameson. I couldn't remember which rookie it was.
They also got your favorite team's receiver.
Yes, and they got DJ Shark, who obviously is a Madden beast, never really alive in real life, but very good in Madden. We saw what Q built with them. We've seen what Clink has built with them. So the blueprint is there, and I think that's a team that we're going to see go much higher than anticipated in the team draft.
All right. So let's see. I've got 2 more topics, and I'm gonna flip flop them here. I'm gonna put the one that was 4, 5, and we'll go to the last one first. So last cycle we had one stacked division probably with the NFC West. Everybody would pretty much agreed that was the top division. But the conferences were for the most part pretty even. With it looking like there's gonna be a 12-win team likely out of the AFC. Do you think maybe teams are gonna look more towards even avoiding conferences that are stacked next Madden? And we'll start with you, Prime.
Yeah, I think that's possible. And I think we've seen it a little bit this half cycle. Put D-Muse in a conference where he's a top 2 player, which he kind of was last cycle with it was him and Fazz were 1 and 2, and RD at time. RD had some stuff going on, and he joined late, and he had some person. So D Muse was like the number 2 guy there, and all it takes is a game. So he made the Super Bowl once. So I think guys like D Muse and similar talent can look at that, especially if they're picking pick 16 or pick 17. They're like, oh crap, Faz is the Jags, Prime's the Colts, Dan's the Steelers, maybe Bombers the Jets, and Q's the Chargers. And it's like, hey, maybe I'm going to pass on this Ravens team and take a team that's not as good, so I have a better shot at the Super Bowl. So yeah, I think it's very possible.
All right, Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, it's unique because probably only the last third of the team draft can really think that way. Prior to that, the first two thirds of the draft probably thinks more division wise, like who's in my division. But as we saw with Finn's, just getting hammered going into one division, and then post blip going into an easier division, easier conference, he's had more success. I think guys are going to look at that. And I think the bottom third, and then that's where you see some really good teams slide because people are avoiding that. I agree with Prime. You start adding up, okay, how many playoff spots can I get in that conference? I might want to slide into that conference because I can get into the playoffs because it's easier.
All right, Faz, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I have to agree. We've seen it. We saw it pre-blip. Obviously, we had the entire Big Five was in the AFC minus Q. And Dump snuck into a Super Bowl. We haven't heard from Dump since. That was the last time we saw him around. So I think people are going to see that, and we have good potential for. I mean, all of us could potentially be in the AFC again. So I think we're going to need a couple guys like that. Maybe Clink sees his shot in the NFC, and he says, you know what, I like some teams in the AFC board, but I'm going NFC, and I'm going to try and make my run if he doesn't get it done this cycle. So I think it's absolutely a possibility.
All right. Mike, what do you think?
My answer is no, but they should because of the exact reasons everybody's already said. People aren't able to correctly value their own skill as well as they should be able to. And they think if they get a good team, they're going to suddenly turn from a 5-11 team to, 8+ wins. And that's just not how it works. They really should consider it. I do it myself. I try to have an idea of who I'm looking at divisionally, at least 1 or 2 teams before I make my pick, because I don't want to, wind up with somebody that I don't exactly enjoy playing. I can't control every aspect of that, but I think it's something that people should consider is who you're playing with twice a year. I mean, it's a big part of the season, a big part of a lot of time investment, and beyond just wins and losses, I think you should have more, clarity in terms of what you're getting into.
All right. And so we'll start this one, Dan. This will be you. So the SML MUT cards have come out, and one of the categories is team building on there. And I think it was Matt's card came out, and it was 70 something for team building. And somebody made a comment about him not really doing anything with the team, and then Matt said he drafted well or whatever. How do you define team building? Do you have to make a ton of moves, or what really goes into that team building rating for you?
Yeah, Matt's a great case for this because he took a young team and he let them develop. He let them kind of breathe. He didn't make moves. We've criticized Woods in the past for making too many moves, not sticking with one guy. I think that's really good in team building to understand, okay, what is your goal, what you're trying to get to. But the problem I guess I'd push back on Matt is he just kept complaining over and over again about getting unlucky on abilities that he was hitting for his young guys. So if you're not getting lucky on the ability roll, then package some of those young guys and go get an ability you really want. So there's got to be a moment where you pull the trigger. So I'm with Matt for probably about 75% of the cycle, but he blew it on the 25% where he should have just pulled the trigger and did it. So I think the question best answered is yes, there's times when not trading is good and sticking with your team is good, but don't just keep complaining about the same issue. Go get something that you need and make the move when you need it.
All right, Faz, what do you think?
Yeah, I think there's kind of 2 different methods of team building, and you kind of have to identify which method you're going to need with your team before the cycle starts. I think you have, the team building, which is, you get some scrub teams. Prime took the Colts, who pretty bland early on, and like you can really look at that team and say like he built that team. Like he put together the defensive line, he made trades, he got Baker. He's added pieces in the draft, so always very active in trading. That's team building. Then I think there's maintaining, which is, basically the Matt's DW with the football team. Obviously, he's got that absolutely loaded front. He didn't do anything to get that front. He picked the team and he just didn't blow it. Where we've seen some guys, they would go trade those guys and lose the trade, and that's that. So I think you kind of have to see your team at the beginning of the cycle, figure out which direction you're going to take with it, and then kind of don't veer off that path. And that's kind of team building. And then really just don't completely blow it and trade off all your guys like figs for, nothing.
All right, Mike, what do you think?
I'm going to define it as loose as possible, and that's simply don't sabotage yourself. Madden gives you the ability to build your team however you see fit, be it draft, signings, trades, whatever you want to do. There's no really wrong way, in my opinion, to do it, because you're kind of dictating your own story in terms of how you want to have your fun, how you want to find your leisure there. So I don't really judge somebody doing something differently than I do per se as a bad way to do it. But as Fazz just said, if you're Fig and you're going to be just literally dismantling your own team to accomplish nothing, that's not good team building. I don't have any issues with what Matt did. I don't have any issues with necessarily what Woods did. Woods is not really the best at that, in my opinion, either. But just as loosely, just don't get in your own way. Figure out your own plan and work from there without, tripping yourself over.
All right, Prime, what about you?
Yeah, I think what makes a good team builder is somebody who acknowledges what they're good at and bad at in the game, and then they're able to build their team around that. For example, last Madden cycle, Madden 21, Matt was a very bad passer. So if he's like, all right, I'm just going to invest all I've got into passing instead of like, hey, let me build my offensive lineup, my running back up and my defense. If he's like, I'm just going to trade 10 first-round draft picks and get a gunslinger quarterback, I'd be like, okay, you probably shouldn't do that because you're going to run it 70% of the time. But if Fazz did that, and he's like, hey, I'm going to trade 10 first-round draft picks for a quarterback, same trade, I'd be like, okay, good trade, Fazz, because you're going to, what gunslinger is, you know how to use it, and you're probably going to do well with it. So in a way, I think like certain trades really, they might seem lopsided if they're done by one guy and not as much for the other guy. So I think it really comes down to how well you can build your team that complements yourself. And I don't think a lot of guys are good at self-evaluation. And I think sometimes they trade for this big receiver when they're not even good at throwing the ball. And maybe they should focus on, hey, I'm a better runner. Let me get that running back with evasive, and let me just get a quarterback who's accurate, and we'll go that way with it. But I don't think a lot of people think about it that way.
All right. So with that, that's going to be our final topic, and the winner is going to be Prime with 97 points. So Prime, these 30 seconds are all yours before you have your game with Meats.
Yes, good segue there. Meats, my little short-peckered friend. You are going down tonight, and I seen the score to the game last week against the Dolphins. I will avenge Mike. I will defeat Meats, and I'm going to say by at least 10 points. Colts by 10. Just a gentle guarantee there.
All right, way to be humble and modest there. No 2 touchdown win, 10 points. So I had you by 16, but we'll see if you can at least get your 10.
Speaking of bad team builders.
Oh, go ahead.
Speaking of bad team builders, Meats there. Trade all of his X factors for first round picks, and then throw in the trade block first round picks on the block for an X factor. Yeah, that's going in circles isn't going to help your team building either.
Yeah, absolutely. No. But thanks for being on, guys. Prime, good luck in your game. I know you got it coming up here in about 15 minutes. Yes. And until next time, this has been First and Goal.
Thanks for listening to First and Goal. Be sure to check out Mad Bomber TV on Twitch and YouTube for the latest from the SML. And we'll see you next time on First and Goal.